This is a short video on how to enter numbers into your calculator. This is a Texas TI-84 plus CE calculator. It's a scientific calculator. Most of you probably use something similar to this. Um, Even if you don't, most of the functions on here should show up on your calculator, and they probably work the same way. There's a lot of keys here and a lot of functions, but we're only going to use just a handful of them, and that'll be true throughout the entire course. So the one thing I notice a lot of you probably have trouble with is entering numbers that are in the form of scientific notation. So if I take the number 1.23 times 10 to the 6, okay, the way I enter that is just 1.23. Now I got to tell the calculator to multiply by 10 and then input some exponent. So most calculators have a button that's either labeled double capital E or capital E. So if you'll notice that that's not the button, that's the comma, but I need to use the shift and the E will pop up there. That tells the calculator that I'm taking 1.23, multiplying it by 10, and then the very next number I enter will be the exponent for 10. So in this case, it'll just be 6. If I hit enter, you see I get 1,230,000. So that matches this. So the calculator and what I wrote here agrees. If I have to enter a negative power of 10, say 3.34 times 10 to the minus 5. Well, again, I enter the 3.34 the exact same way. Shift to get me to E. Now, again, on your calculator, it might be its own button. Now I have to put in a negative 5. Now, this is the subtraction operation. This is not the negative sign. The negative sign is down here. And on most calculators, it's usually identified with what looks like a minus symbol enclosed in some parentheses. So if I do that, I get that. If you were to enter it the other way, let's see what happens. So 3.34 times 10 to the minus, if I do this, okay, there's an error. Okay. If I need to have a number in scientific notation and I need to say square it, so let's say 7.11 million, and I need to square it, well, I enter the 7.11 times 10 to the 6, so that gives me 7.11 million. Now I need to square it. There's two ways I can do that. On a lot of calculators, there's a dedicated key that has this x squared, and when I hit this, it tells the calculator to take whatever number is active in the screen and basically square it. Okay. The other way to do it is to type in the original number the exact same way, but then there's a caret symbol over here, and the difference between this button and this button is that I can control what the exponent is. Here, the exponent is just 2. I'm just squaring it. Here, you'll notice that there's a little exponent up there, but it's blank. So the calculator is waiting for me to put in the particular exponent. So in this case, it'll be 2, and I get exactly the same result. If I have to do this something similar for a number that has a negative exponent for 10, let's say 8.22 times 10 to the minus 5, and I have to cube that number. So 8.22 times 10 to the minus 5. Now I need to cube it. Now on some of your calculators, you'll actually have an x cubed button. Here I have to use the caret. Now I type in 3 and I get that. Okay. For some of you, you might have a button that looks like this. Instead of the caret, you might have a button that looks like this. It'll be x to the y, or it'll be y to the x. It all depends on the brand. This button and this button work exactly the same way as this button. You type in your number, you hit this, let's say it's x to the y, and then you immediately type in your exponent. So in this case, it would just be 3. If you have this button, you do the same thing. Again, which one you have depends on your brand or on your model. But these 3 buttons all work the same way. Okay, so let's take a simple example. So let's say you have to calculate the centripetal acceleration of the moon. This showed up on one of your activities. So r is the separation distance, and then t is the orbital period. So in that case, your separation distance between the Earth and the moon is this number of meters. And then I told you that the orbital period is roughly a month. It's 27.3 days. Okay, but the problem is that I need to have my units as meters per second squared. So this 27.3 days, I have to do something to it. I have to convert it to seconds before I square it. Okay, so what I do is I multiply it by 86,400 seconds because that's the number of seconds in a day. Okay, so let's type it in. Now pi is usually on a scientific calculator, it's usually its own key, where again you get it from a shift mode. So here you can see it's right above the caret. So when I hit second caret, that'll give me pi. So let's take 4 times pi. Now I need to square it. So again, I can use either the caret or this. I'll use this because it's there. Then I have to multiply that by the 3.84 times 10 to the 8. So there's my power of 10. So that's my entire numerator. So if I hit enter, that gives me that number. Now I can divide it by, now I have to do 2 operations down here before I square it. So I'll use my parentheses. So 27.3 times 86,400. Okay, so that matches what I have here. And now I have to hit the square. So again, I can do this, or I could do the caret followed by the number 2. Okay, so you get the correct answer of 0.0027 meters per second squared.